Ready? Is the sound man okay?
A scene from the documentary I Am Céline Dion, which comes out today on Amazon Prime. Our own chief correspondent, Adrienne Arsenault, sat down for her own interview ahead of the documentary's release. We talked about it extensively at that time, but this movie takes us into other realms. You hear more about her diagnosis with stiff person syndrome. You see her family and friends in her Las Vegas homes and hear from them as well. And Tegan Baudet has seen it, and she's with me this morning to tell us all about I Am Céline Dion. Great to have you in person today. So as I mentioned, Adrienne, our chief correspondent, she had that exclusive English-Canadian interview. We learned a lot in it. We heard her sing a little bit. Where does this documentary take us?
Well, it takes us into Celine Dion's home. So we spend time with her getting physio. We spend time with her playing video games with her kids. You know, we see her in a lot of really vulnerable states. So she's without makeup, she's without fancy clothes, she's in pain, and she's tired. And we see her working a really, really busy job and trying to be a mom. Take a listen.
I'm working hard every day, but I have to admit, it's been a struggle. I miss it so much. The people. I miss them. If I can't run, I'll walk. If I can't walk, I'll crawl. I won't stop.
It's just the emotion and the force, you know, that desire to get back on stage. Is that part of what makes this documentary stand apart?
You know, I think Celine Dion has always been a really sort of candid and authentic person, and you feel that throughout the full documentary. You know, she made a really, really smart choice in this one. She talked to the director, Irene Taylor-Brodsky, and she said, could we not have a bunch of other people talk about me? Could I just talk about myself? And the director was like, okay, well, that's a lot to bear. That's a big burden, but we'll try it, and it works so well. And I think part of the reason the documentary is really effective is because you don't have a lot of people saying, oh, Celine Dion's fantastic, she had such an impact. You have Celine Dion telling you about her life. And, you know, I think the other thing that makes it work well is that she's not trying to sell you a tour. She's not trying to sell you a book. She just wants to tell you where she's at right now in this journey with stiff person syndrome.
And it's interesting when you say, you know, fans of Celine who might talk about her in such glowing terms. I mean, that's what the fans are going to feel for sure, and they're going to be racing to see this today. It'll be interesting to see the numbers, but people who aren't necessarily diehard Celine fans, is there something for them too, for a broader audience?
Yeah, you know, I think that whether you have a degenerative illness like Celine Dion's, or whether you have a chronic illness, or whether you have a disability, it is very rare to see nuanced portrayals of what it's like to live with an illness, or what it's like to live being sick on a regular basis. And there are so many moments in this documentary that people who do live with illness will see and recognize. You know, she's an ultra-rich, very, very famous person, but there's a huge amount of relatability there. You know, at one point she says, I don't want to leave my house because what if someone sees me looking well and I've canceled a tour? And I think that that's very relatable for other people because there are so many expectations we put on people who live with illness. Anyone who's sick understands that nervousness about what other people will think. And there are just many, many moments like that. You know, towards the end of the documentary, she has a series of spasms. They talk about taking her to the hospital. That might be the next step. And after she comes out of it, she says, I'm so embarrassed. And you might think, you know, if you're a healthy person, why would you be embarrassed? You know, you're sick, that's fine. But as someone who lives with an illness, that is the first emotion that you feel when your body's not cooperating with you. So I think that this type of filmmaking is really important, and I'm really, really glad that the documentary filmmaker made it with Celine Dion.
So interesting, because she talked in the interviews about what it was like to feel those spasms, but it sounds like we actually see that in this documentary, what she actually deals with and how severe they are.
Yeah, and I think it's important for people to see because a lot of the time those illnesses are invisible, and she really shows you what she's going through.